Egypt's decades-old emergency laws have finally been lifted. The head of Egypt's military made the announcement on the eve of the anniversary of the Egyptian revolution. The law changes mean civilians will no longer be tried in military courts. The right to demonstrate will be restored, and security forces will not be able to hold people for extended periods without charge. Well, Sherine Tadros is live for us in Cairo now. Sherine, can you talk us through the significance of all this?
Well, Stephen, it really depends on how the military decide to implement this new move. I mean, don't forget that this isn't a complete suspension of emergency law in Egypt. It's simply a narrowing of its remit. And this is something that the former president, Hosni Mubarak, himself did when he was under fire for still having emergency law present in this country. He narrowed the remit to applying to cases of drug trafficking and terrorism. So this is what people are now starting to say, that the military is simply doing the same thing that Mubarak did, still having emergency law there at hand when they want to use it, and then having this caveat. And it's really unclear what exactly cases of thuggery, which is what this caveat is, that Field Marshal Tantawi declared when he said emergency law would be lifted, what that caveat actually applies to. Don't forget that at the end of the day, a lot of people, thousands of people since the revolution in the last 12 months have actually been imprisoned and been subjected to military trials on the idea that they were thugs or that they were rioting, they're causing public disorder. So there's still that grey area there that people are worried about, that really makes people think, well, maybe this is just something that he's saying, something that he's offering. Of course, this all coming on the eve of the first anniversary of the uprising, which led to the ouster of Hosni Mubarak. Tantawi was speaking just a few hours ago. Let's hear what he had to say in his own words.
The anniversary of the January 25th revolution will always be a day of unity between the people and their armed forces, who sided with the people, safeguarding the revolution and supporting the revolting youth. And today, after the people have had their voices heard, electing their representatives in the parliament, I have taken a decision to end the state of emergency across the country, with the exception of acts of thuggery. And this decision will come into effect as of the morning of January 25th, 2012.
Well, Tantawi also talked in that statement about actually going back to their barracks, the military going back to their barracks, and for this to be a real transition to civilian rule, something that many people are afraid of here, that the military will continue to rule the country even after the parliament starts and even a president comes to power. So that is really the crux of these sort of last-minute concessions that we've been seeing. And of course, it all comes as the country is gearing up for these big protests and also celebrations due on Wednesday to mark the first anniversary. And really, we've been going around throughout the last 48 hours or so asking people, asking Egyptians what they think the revolution has achieved, and we've heard very differing views on that.
In 18 days, Egyptians brought down their president. Months later, protesters went back, saying one regime had simply been replaced by another. Today, 1 year after it all started, Tahrir Square has for some become a symbol of people power, to others a sign of the country's instability and turmoil. For Sherine, January the 25th is an opportunity to demonstrate, not a reason to celebrate.
All my Egyptian brothers who were killed, justice has not been served for them. Why would I celebrate when the goals of the revolution haven't been realized? We came here a year ago to ask for bread, freedom and social justice. Corruption is still everywhere.
On the other side of Cairo, in an upscale neighborhood near the former president's home, Hatem has a different opinion.
This year has been very, very difficult on us. In terms of the economy, daily living, and of course it hasn't been very safe. There was a period when people were very scared.
So if he knew a year ago what the situation would be like, I asked, would he still have supported the uprising?
Of course nobody can say they don't support the revolution. This revolution released people from the pressure and depression we were in for 30 years. We're living through a difficult period, but each one of us has to persevere. Take it step by step. Listen, it's easy to destroy, but to rebuild takes time and patience.
But most Egyptians are not in Tahrir Square. Most cannot afford to sit around trendy cafes. Almost half the people in the country live on $2 a day or less in shanty towns like this one south of Cairo. Here, people are not thinking about what the revolution could bring in the future. It's about daily survival.
The revolution has done nothing for us. It stopped our work. There is no buying or selling and everything is more expensive. It would have been better for us if there were no revolution. We were living okay. The elites the revolution brought down. They didn't affect us.
This revolution has done nothing for us except stop our work. What did Tahrir and all those young people achieve? I want the country to get back on its feet so we can live.
Nobody we met wanted Mubarak back in power. The differences were over what, if anything, the revolution has achieved, and whether the price Egyptians have paid in the last 12 months will prove to be worth it. At heart, the uprising was about restoring a sense of Egyptian pride and dignity. But the erosion of rights and freedoms and the deteriorating economy are making that increasingly harder. After 1 year, there's still as much fear as there is hope for the future of the country.
And we're also hearing, Sherine, the blogger Michael Nabil is to be freed as well. That's significant.
Yes, indeed. In fact, he was freed just in the past hour or so. Another 11th hour goodwill gesture, if you like, by the military rulers. They, in fact, signed the order to release almost 2,000 prisoners on Saturday night. But now they have released Michael Nabil. He is now with his family. This is a very important case here in Egypt, something that really resonated throughout the country. Michael Nabil, a blogger who wrote blogs against the military, the first, in fact, blogger to be brought in front of a military trial and then incarcerated. He's incarcerated back in April, so he's been in prison now for many months, and in many of those months actually he spent on hunger strikes. So he really became the symbol of and fed the idea, if you like, in the country that was going around that the military were acting just like Hosni Mubarak did, and they had these red lines that the people couldn't cross. So his release certainly coming as good news to his family and to the country at large. Whether it will pacify people and make them not want to come out and protest, I don't think so. There is a lot of momentum right now behind the protests that are scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, to mark the anniversary of the uprising.
Sherine Tadros reporting live from Cairo. Thanks, Sherine.